Last year we moved to Long Beach for my work.
Specifically the Bluff Park neighborhood. Our new place is a condo 2 blocks from the beach in a building that was built in 1975.
And there's still a lot of 1975 in it when we got it.
So we're updating it, one project at a time. We already got rid of the popcorn ceiling, the paneling in the bedrooms, the vinyl floors in the bathroom, and some really ugly lighting.
But there's still a lot more to do.
So keep watching The Bears in the Bluff.
Alexa, turn dining room light on.
Okay.
Yes, welcome to the Star Trek episode. We're dabbling in home automation. For me, it's dabbling a second time. Almost 30 years ago when I lived in DC, I used to have those little X10 boxes. You know, you'd plug a lamp into them and then you had a little controller that would let you do things like turn on the lights in your ex-lover's bedroom at 3 in the morning. Oh, but we don't know anybody who would actually do that, do we? The X10 devices worked by running a signal through your house wiring. And when you're in a condo, that's not a real good thing. It gets kind of flaky because there's so many signals running around back and forth. X10s are still available, but we decided we did not want to go down that route. I mean, been there, done that. And things have changed a lot in home automation, and there's a lot of new standards. Actually, there's a lot of new incompatible standards. There are two big players, though. There's Z-Wave and there's Zigbee. And both of them are radio protocols. So we don't necessarily have to have something plugged into the house for them to work. We ended up going with Z-Wave, and there's two reasons for that. Number one is that Zigbee uses some of the same frequencies as Wi-Fi, and there's a lot of Wi-Fi networks around here, so we thought there was a possibility of having some interference. Second, from what we read, pretty much any Z-Wave device will work with any Z-Wave controller and any other Z-Wave device. And that's not quite true for Zigbee because there's kind of substandards. And so certain Zigbee controllers will only work with certain Zigbee devices. And we didn't want to be limited like that. You didn't have to be following that up all the time. Technically, it's fairly easy and inexpensive to get started with home automation. We started with Z-Wave light bulbs. These go in a regular socket and they talk to a central controller. So one bulb, one controller, you've got some basic home automation. We chose the Wink controller because it was fairly inexpensive and got pretty good reviews. Now in the old X10 days, the controller actually had buttons on it that you would use to turn lights on, off, and dim them and such. But this is the 21st century, so we have an app for that. Using the app, you can select a light and tap to turn it on or off. If you tap and hold, you get a slide bar so you can dim the light. You can also create groups of lights and control them together.
Because it's all about good lighting.
The Wink controller connects to the internet through our Wi-Fi. So we can use the app even if we're not at home. This means we can turn lights on and off, that sort of thing. We can also set up schedules so that we have certain lights come on at sundown, we have other lights go off at midnight, that sort of thing. In addition to the bulbs, we also have wall switches and we have plug-in modules. So you can see that this can add up really, really quickly if you're not careful. One note, we've had better success pairing the switches and the plug-in modules than we have the light bulbs. The light bulbs, sometimes we have difficulty actually connecting it to the hub. Rarely have that problem with the other kind of devices. So we're still finding that balance of how many of each kind of control mechanism we want to have. So you can see how, depending on how many devices you have, this could add up pretty quick. Have you ever been on a trip and suddenly thought, gee, did I lock the front door? Yeah, that's why we got a Z-Wave door lock as well. So we can use the app to check on the status of the door, and we can lock it if we forgot to lock it when we left the house. Yes, that also means that we can unlock it remotely. And I know that means in theory that somebody could hack into it and open our door. But practically that's not very likely. Okay, so assuming somebody could hack into the system, into the Wink servers, they would have to know which account is ours. Then they would have to know which building we're in. Then they would have to get in the front door, which is not attached to the Wink app. They would have to know the code to do that. Then they would have to know which unit is ours. So I think by the time we go through all of that, the chances of somebody actually being able to hack in and get into our place is a little bit slim. We're willing to live with it. We can, of course, still use a key to get in the front door. The lock also has a keypad on it, so we can create a 4-digit number that will let us unlock the door. Actually, we can create several of them, so we can have one for us and say one for a housekeeper if we get to that point, that sort of thing. Now, one of the cool things that they've done with this is that when you go to unlock the door, you get a random 2 digits that you have to press before you press the 4-digit code. And the reason for this is that way somebody can't look at the keypad and see where the most fingerprints are to get a rough idea of what code they should punch in. I think that's a pretty cool security thing, actually. So that's how we control the lights and such with the app. Now about that voice part. For that, we have an Amazon Echo. Now the Echo can play music and get the current weather report and set alarms and that kind of thing. But there's also a module that you can install that will let it talk to the Z-Wave controller. And then when you add a new device to the Z-Wave network, you simply tell the Echo to go ask the controller what devices are connected, and then you can use the voice commands for it. So you can say things like, Alexa, turn the dining room light on half.
Okay.
Now the one thing the Amazon Echo cannot do is it cannot talk to the door lock. And this is by design. You don't want somebody standing outside your window and saying, Alexa, unlock the front door.
Please try again with the device name and setting.
So there's some things we just don't want home automation to do. That's it for home automation so far, although I'm certain we're going to find some additional lights or whatever that we can add to the network. We'll have a major project coming up this summer. We're going to be doing a kitchen remodel, and this is going to involve some architect's plans and permits with the city and that sort of thing. So lots of good stuff happening this summer. Keep watching the Bears in the Bluff.